Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Sally Lipsky with Plant-Based Pittsburgh. Tonight, I am thrilled to, if you haven't seen Brittany Jaroudi in action, I'm so glad that you will, because, we love her for not just her recipes that are accessible and easy and delicious, and not just for her cooking skills, but also for her just kindness and personality. So pleased that she's going to kick off the fall. And this is being recorded, so tomorrow you'll get an email from me with a link to the recording. You'll also get all of Brittany's recipes tomorrow, so you don't have to be jotting things down frantically. And any other information that comes up during the event tonight that seems pertinent, I just will include it. And I will keep the chat too, because sometimes people ask things in the chat that aren't covered. So with that, it's 100 here. Okay. And with that note, I will turn it over to Brittany. Thank you.
Well, even though it's 100 in California, hopefully we still get you into the fall spirit. And today is the first day of fall, so this is wonderful that we're having our meeting on the 22nd. I thought that was really nice. And so I'm just so excited to be here and to be with you guys. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Brittany Jaroudi. I run the website and channel, the Jaroudi Family, where pretty much I've been impacted so much by a whole food plant-based lifestyle that I made it kind of my mission or my gift back to help others achieve the same. So I try to make recipes that the entire family will love, from maybe spouses that aren't so excited about you being plant-based or wanting to be plant-based, to kids, to grandkids that also might be dragging their feet on it. So my goal is to make recipes that are healthy, but also are delicious, that you can serve up to anyone that might be coming through your kitchen. So tonight's recipes and topic is fall vegetables. So we're going to make two recipes today. I have a pasta bake, which is really simple. We're going to kind of throw everything into a dish and let it bake together. It makes the delicious creamy sauce that's not a red sauce. And then also we're going to make some pumpkin soup. So I do have two recipes to share with you guys tonight. And I have the recipes already ready for you guys. So tomorrow when Sally sends you this recording, you guys will get both recipes for you. So you don't have to take notes, even though I'm going to talk about a bunch of different tips and tricks for these. I also made you guys two handouts as well. One is a list of fall vegetables that are in season, and one is a list of fall fruits that are in season. And personally for me here in Pittsburgh, I feel very lucky because we have a co-op here in Pittsburgh, the East End Food Co-op, which sources a lot of local food in our area. And so I do like to eat seasonal, and they do such a great job at providing that for us here. So a lot of the vegetables that we'll see come up even more and more frequently as we kind of get closer into fall. I did want to screen share real quick before I start cooking. One thing, so let me see if I can share this. Can you guys all see my screen? Okay, so I run a website and a YouTube channel where I pretty much make the recipes on the website, and I give you nice, pretty PDFs that you can print off and take the recipes. But I also make videos that kind of go along with those recipes. So if you ever are confused on how to make something, I kind of walk you through it, and then you can just go to the website and look at the recipe. So if you like to have a thorough teacher kind of teach you how to do things, like for example, I just came out with pumpkin cinnamon rolls. If you were at the Pittsburgh plant-based potluck, you probably got to taste those cinnamon rolls because I brought them with me. But you can make them at home if you're not from Pittsburgh, like a lot of the members are tonight. And I kind of walk you through, and that's a little bit more of, baking's more of a science per se. You're not as easy to get away with things in baking as you are in cooking. So that's a really nice recipe to kind of watch how I do and then try it. But I have literally hundreds of recipes, so many recipes, all seasons, all different types. If you need different ideas for what to take for Thanksgiving or Christmas or a holiday or a potluck, I can keep you busy for a while, okay? I also have my website, which again has like the recipes that correlate to the actual video. So you can scroll there. There's really nice, like I said, really nice PDFs. For example, if you guys want to check out the cinnamon rolls, I have nice pictures. And then if you scroll to the bottom, there is this nice PDF that you can click on and print out, or there's the recipe also just posted. Okay, however, people like to copy and paste it and put it into a, you know, if you have an app that maybe you use that you put all your recipes in to kind of save Sarah, you could do that. So I try to make it accessible for all the different ways that you guys like that. Now, not only do I have this free website and free YouTube channel with hundreds of recipes for you guys to keep you very busy for a long time, I recently came out with a membership that is totally optional, but I also put out 5 extra recipes every month. So if you click on membership on my page, it tells you a little bit more about like what recipes came out for the last month, okay? I did want to share one more thing I made for you guys before I start cooking. So let's see if I can pull this up. Okay, so I did make this nice, let me see if I, well, can you guys see that? Zoom out. I did make this nice list of all the different fall vegetables that are more in season coming up. So there are some things that you probably have already seen at the grocery store now, some things that you'll see a little bit more of, some things that will be taken away as we get into fall. So these are some of my favorites that I included. I'm going to be using a lot of them today. Like we're going to be using Brussels sprouts, zucchini a little bit still, broccoli, and you know, you definitely turnips and different things like that come into play. We're also going to use some zucchini, you could do squash, and we're going to make pumpkin soup. So you're definitely going to have some pumpkin. So let me see if I can do one more screen share for you guys. And then I also gave you guys fall fruit. So just to keep in mind, let's see where it's at. This is the nice PDF you'll get. You also get a grocery list that's blank. So you guys can print that off if you are looking for something. But the fall fruit, let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Some fruits to think about as we get into fall. So, you know, you guys are probably familiar with like apples and cranberries and pears, that pomegranates that come up, but you might not think about figs and different things like that. So some other fun things. And I always go to Trader Joe's pretty often for fruit and different things. And they're pretty awesome about supplying maybe fruits that you haven't heard of before. And I always get really good prices at Trader Joe's. So I really like using them. But you'll get all of that as well. So that's my little special thing I made for you guys tonight. Like I said, you can use the grocery list for anything, but I was a little festive and did the fall themed because I was like, that's the art teacher in me. I like to have stuff that looks pretty and is all organized. So we're gonna make 2 recipes tonight. One recipe, it's really just we're gonna dump into a dish, we're gonna bake it, it's gonna come out beautiful. The second thing we're gonna make in our blender. So I try to pick recipes again that are very quick and easy. For me, fall means going back to school. So I'm a teacher full-time as my Monday through Friday job. So I need things that, like, you know, I get off work and then my husband gets home an hour after me and I kind of don't want to spend, you know, as much as I love cooking, I'm recipe testing and doing a ton in the kitchen. So sometimes when I can streamline different things like these recipes, it's a lot easier for me to get everything done I need to. So I always find that, you know, one baked dishes or soups that I can make in the blender or in the Instant Pot or something like that is really helpful in the fall. For this recipe, I actually have a sister recipe for it, which is called our spring vegetable bake, pasta bake. So if you are familiar with my stuff, you might have tried that recipe out. This is going to be the fall version of it, where I change up the seasonings, we change up the vegetables. But if you love this, you might want to check out the spring vegetable bake on our website and channel as well, because that's really delicious for the springtime as well as we go on. So you can use any pasta that you like for this. It might change the bake time if you're using gluten-free pasta or bean pasta. I would recommend looking at the back of your directions. This recipe is really made for whole grain, whole wheat pasta. But if you're gonna use something else, I always just kind of check on this dish. This is a dish that you don't want to over bake because then your noodles will get gummy and then that's no good. So there is a 20-minute kind of mix in everything and then put it back in for 20 minutes. At that point, once I do the 20-minute check, if you're nervous about overcooking your pasta, just check on it, like maybe every 5 minutes or 10 minutes until you see that it's done. Okay, really when the pasta is cooked, that's when this dish is complete. So again, I made this with whole wheat pasta. If you're gonna do something different, just keep an eye on it, is all I suggest, okay? I just have regular whole wheat pasta here. In the recipe, I call for 12 ounces. So this is a 16-ounce box that I found at my grocery store. So I'm not gonna add the whole box because again, I wanna use around 12 ounces of it. And you can use any shaped pasta that you like. Okay, that looks good. All right, and I love this recipe again because it's just, we're just like dumping everything in and then the pasta is gonna cook with everything. So this is just a really simple thing to have ahead. You can even freeze this and or make it the night before and then pop it in the pop it in the oven whenever you're ready to cook it. I really like to have that stuff that's accessible, especially when life gets busy. So I just put the pasta in uncooked, all hard and dry still. I'm going to put in my vegetables next. So I have 1 cup of chopped zucchini here with the skins on. I try to leave the skins on as much as possible for that extra fiber. All right, and then my other vegetables are some chopped Brussels sprouts and chopped broccoli. So there's a 3/4 of a cup of each of those that I already pre-chopped and rinsed, and they're ready to go as well. And so you can change up the vegetables in this if you have squash, if you have something else that you want to use, if you have turnips. This works great. So I'm just going to give this a little toss. Everything is still dry. We haven't added any liquid in yet. To kind of mix in vegetables. So I have my pan with all my stuff. And now it gets even easier. So I have our liquid. So I have 2 cups of a non-dairy milk that's unsweetened, unflavored, and I have 2 cups of vegetable broth. And that's going to be your liquid that kind of steams and cooks the vegetables as well as that pasta. So it can't get much easier. You can leave a little bit of the vegetable broth at the end and stir in that miso. So I used a no salt added vegetable broth. I do use a tiny bit of miso as my salt replacement. This is because Dr. Greger has done, posted about the research about how miso doesn't affect your arteries and your blood pressure like salt does. So for me, one of my issues coming into being whole food plant-based was having extremely high blood pressure, where I was on 2 different medications at 25. It's something I have corrected from that point. I'm not on blood pressure medicine anymore, but I'm still very mindful not to eat salt in my diet for that and other reasons that I've now have learned about, like your increased risk of stomach cancer. So I follow more of what Dr. Greger's research kind of shows and his studies. And so miso is one of the things that I use in small amounts, but I do use to kind of flavor our dishes. And I find that this again is something that makes it very tolerable to other people that you're trying to get to eat your food. So if you are having your spouses or kids or grandkids or family members and you're bringing something, sometimes just a little bit of this does add a ton of flavor to your meal. So in here I have 1 teaspoon, which isn't very much for the whole dish, of white miso paste. And because it's a paste, if you just want to take a moment, it's not in the directions, but I find that you want it to be like evenly dispersed. You don't want like a clump of miso in one part. You can just take a moment and kind of stir it into your little bit of vegetable broth even. And then that way it makes it easier to kind of go all over your dish, right? So nothing gets stuck in a spot. So I just take a moment and kind of mix that in. All right, you can pour that in now. And it will dissolve whenever we go to heat it. And then 2 cups of that non-dairy milk unsweetened. It's gonna look like it's kind of swimming in your liquid. Your liquid's gonna look like it's almost over top of it, but it cooks down and cooks all the vegetables, steams everything, and it just becomes this delicious creamy sauce instead of like it being drenched in anything. If you've never done a pasta bake, it's a really cool how it turns out to be the perfect amount of liquid when you get done with it. All right, and lastly, we have our seasonings. So I have a little bit of nutritional yeast. I have 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and I also have a tablespoons of Herbes de Provence seasoning, which is kind of a blend that you think about around Thanksgiving. It has like rosemary and different of those Thanksgiving seasonings. If you can't find Herbes de Provence in your area as a seasonal blend, you can Google it and make your own. But every time I went to the grocery store, I found that it's in the blend sections. Usually they don't have salt or anything like that. And if you, for some reason, don't want to use nutritional yeast, or if you want to use some other kind of seasoning, this is the amounts I have here is perfect. If you want to play around with the seasonings, like that's not going to make or break the recipe. You can add in whatever you'd like. For our spring vegetable bake recipe, I use Italian seasoning to flavor it, but you can go ahead and kind of play around with whatever you'd like for that. So I like to have more Thanksgiving flavors here, again, because we're doing fall. So, and then I'm just going to take a moment and kind of stir that in with my spoon, kind of mix it around. It lets all the vegetables too get wet, so everything at least has been, nothing's dry on top. If you take a minute and just kind of fold in everything. And then we're ready to stick this guy in the oven. It's like so easy and simple, right? Didn't take very long at all. I'm gonna take a moment just to make sure all the pasta, you wanna make sure everything at least has been touched by the liquid. Nothing's dry. And then I do cover this, and you can cover it with aluminum foil. Now, if you're somebody who like doesn't wanna use aluminum foil, what you can do is you can put some parchment paper on the bottom so that your food's not directly touching the aluminum foil. Some people like to do that. So really easy. You're just gonna cover it. Like, doesn't get much easier than this. And then the only thing for this recipe that you're not gonna include is the lemon. And I just like to slice the lemon, and when it's done, squeeze some on top because it helps brighten up the dish. But we're gonna do that at the end. So I'm gonna preheat my oven to 425 degrees. This total time for the whole wheat pasta takes 40 minutes, but a really important part is halfway through to stir it. And that just lets everything, whenever the liquid kind of goes down to our sauce, it's gonna kind of cut in half when you go to remove it after 20 minutes. It just lets everything kind of get rehydrated again by mixing it through, because we want the non-dairy milk and the vegetable broth really to become a creamy kind of white sauce for this recipe. Okay, so I also love this because every time we have pasta, it's like red sauce, red sauce, red sauce. Sometimes I do the Alfredo on our website, but this is really a nice different sauce for a pasta. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna pop this guy into the oven. I have a Breville Smart Oven Air that I'm gonna preheat. When that preheats, it goes in, but so easy, right? Like we already have one dish already done, and it's only 7:21, and I showed you guys all before, all the things. Yeah, who knew cooking could be so easy, right? I always too, like people will ask me a lot of questions about cooking plant-based and different things in that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have cooked before. I probably am one of the earliest people to cooking, because I only really started cooking around when I started being plant-based. Around the age of 25 is really when I like started, not making stuff that wasn't like freezer food and convenience foods. So, in 5 years, the way that I've cooked has changed so drastically, but it's still the same as kind of those things that you think of before. So a lot of the times when I'm recipe creating and I'm thinking of what I want to do, you know, you can look up one pot pasta bakes and see what you can substitute, but the cooking process is kind of still the same. You still need a liquid, you still need, you can think about it that way. And same when we do, like we have a chickpea piccata recipe. And so, you know, where we make chickpeas, but it's the same idea of like making your batter and your patty nice and flat, just like you would do chicken piccata, and breading it and then making a caper lemon sauce. So the ideas behind being whole food plant-based or turning your recipes that you liked prior. I should do a class on taking those original recipes that you guys loved before being plant-based and how do you make them into being plant-based, but it's the same process, right? So I'm just checking on right now. I'm not using the air fryer. I actually never use the air fryer on my Breville Smart Oven Air. I just don't air fry a lot, to be honest, but I'm using the bake setting on that. It's such a nice oven to have, especially during the summers where right now I'm in a really, it might not look tiny, but it's a very tiny oven. So if I turn my actual oven on, it becomes like 1,000,000 degrees in here. So the Breville has been great for letting me keep that.
Brittany, somebody previously asked, does the sauce thicken as it bakes?
Yes, so it'll thicken and it also will cook down. So it pretty much, I would say it cuts down to be like 1/3 of when you put it all in, but then it thickens and becomes this delicious, nice, creamy sauce for it. Yeah, and Sydney said that she made the spring version of this. So again, I have a spring vegetable pasta bake, which is a little bit different. There's like, you know, spring vegetables in it. The seasoning's a little bit different, but it does really good for company. People really seem to like it. But yeah, I should do that idea for that class on how to take recipes, because it's, you know, I've converted even like the cinnamon rolls that we just did. You know, the process is kind of very similar to how you made cinnamon rolls prior. You're just changing out for healthy ingredients. So this is, I hope, will become a favorite of yours. I love this recipe, especially like when stuff gets busy or on the weekends, if you're having family over or company over, it's really easy to make a couple of these or double the recipe even to make a large amount, and everyone's very happy by it. So while that preheats, we're going to move to the soup recipe. I was trying to think about what to do for fall, and we were at, like, you know, today's the first day of fall, so some of the produce and seasonal ones I was looking for aren't quite in season yet, but no matter where you live, probably you can find cans of pumpkin, right? And this is the time to stock up on it. So I bought like 7 cans of pumpkin because, you know, sometimes it gets hard and everyone grabs it up. But I love canned pumpkin, and you also can find I've seen canned sweet potato before, or canned butternut squash. And so that's another good idea too. You probably could sub those out for this. But canned pumpkin is great and it's so versatile, and we're gonna use it tonight. So we're gonna make an easy pumpkin soup. I should call this easy creamy pumpkin soup because it is very creamy. But all you need is one 15-ounce can of pumpkin. Okay, and we're going to use the whole can, which I like in recipes when you use up everything, you don't have anything to stick weird amounts in your refrigerator. So we're going to use up the whole can. And I find this at Trader Joe's. Again, they have an organic, just preheated. They have an organic pumpkin. So I'm going to stick this guy right into the oven just for 20 minutes. And then whenever 20 minutes are up, I'm going to take it out and we are going to give it a nice stir. So I have my 15-ounce can of pumpkin. I'm just going to put the whole thing in. Again, this is an easy recipe. Now you can double or triple this recipe depending on your what you're serving it for. I usually serve this as a side dish instead of a main dish. Even the pasta bake, I like to serve it with some kind of greens. So usually I pair stuff with like a, you know, if I was going to do like an maybe an autumn kale salad with pears or something like that would go really good with the fall pasta bake. For this, you know, this is going to be maybe an appetizer. So I said on the recipes it serves 2 to 4, thinking of that. But if you want it to be a main dish, you might want to double the recipe. Okay. And then, so that just the can of pumpkin went in. Then for our liquid, I have 1 cup of a non-dairy milk. It's unsweetened and unflavored. And you can use any milk for this. I tend to use, you know, almond milk, or you could use soy milk or any kind of milk that you like. Oat milk is naturally a little bit sweeter. So I tend to use oat milk for more things like desserts or different things like that I'm going to sweeten it with. So if you do use some kind of non-dairy milk in here, if you're using oat milk, it might be a little bit different than I intended. So just keep that, unless you like it a little bit sweet, that might work for you. Okay. Up next, I have 1 cup of vegetable stock, no salt added. So it's really easy. It's kind of similar to the last recipe, right? You're seeing kind of a theme where we're using similar ingredients. You might want to make these together. It'd be a really nice meal even. And then I have our miso. So because I got no salt added everything, again, to flavor just a little bit, I find 2 teaspoons of white miso paste is great for the soup for amount. If you look at our website, I made this as a video a couple years ago. And in that video, I used a tablespoon. My taste buds have changed since I made that video. So I find that I can cut this back. The miso for this recipe really can be to taste. So you might want to start off a little bit slow, and then you can always taste it after it's blended together and up it if you want. So I find I've kind of went from a tablespoon down to 2 teaspoons now for it. And it's been great. To make it creamy, you can use cashews or you can use a white bean, depending on what your goals are, depending on you know, who you're feeding or what you're looking for, what you have in your pantry. Both work. It's around 1/2 cup of either, 1/2 cup of cooked white beans or 1/2 cup of cashews. Either works. I have cashews on hand, so I'm adding those in. That is going to make it creamy and a little bit thicker. So that's kind of nice to kind of thicken the sauce a little bit more. And then our seasonings or spices. I have 1 teaspoon of onion powder. I have 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. You could play around with this and kind of doctor it to what your family likes. This is definitely been what we like. You also could try pumpkin pie spice. That would probably be good as well. And that's it. We're going to blend it till it's nice and smooth. Because I have a Vitamix, I did not soak the cashews. It does a pretty awesome job. This is the new Vitamix that came out. I believe it's the lowest. Doesn't say the number on it anymore, but it's the Ascent series, the cheapest one. Because I have a Vitamix, it does a pretty good job, and it's not a huge amount of nuts. It's going to blend pretty well. If you don't have a Vitamix, or if you're, you know, you can always soak them. That works as well. Okay. All right, I'm going to blend this up. And I'm just looking for the cashews to be broken down, or the white beans. That's really how you know it's done. It takes no time at all. And so if you have a Vitamix, you could heat this in the Vitamix. If you just let it keep going, it would come up to temperature. You could move this to your stovetop and heat it there, however you'd like. Okay. But yeah, it's really simple. It becomes a nice thick soup. I'm going to show you guys. So you'd want to warm this. I think warmed pumpkin soup is probably the best. I don't particularly like it, but you can see how thick it got. And you could play around this. You could make butternut squash soup by switching out for butternut squash. You could make, you know, you could do a sweet potato mix blend. That would be really nice. Another way that we like to serve this is I like to make some kind of whole grain. So we'll make wild rice or, you know, farro or something like that. We made wheat berries earlier, I have on the stove. And so I actually like to serve this kind of as a sauce over top of the whole grain, and then chop up any of the vegetables or greens that I like for it. So that's another good idea too, that you can kind of make it more of a larger meal, or more of a complete meal. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions so far?
Right. Wow.
All right, just checking on you guys. See, it's so easy, like whip that together in no time. I have about 13 minutes on my stove, on my pasta bake before I mix it up. Let me see. Does it solidify after it sits for a while? It pretty much stays the same. If it separates a tiny bit, you just would stir it again. But you're heating this on the stove top. If you have leftovers, it makes like a pretty good size for 2 to 4 people, I would say. But if you do have leftovers, you're gonna reheat it anyway, so you would just reheat on the stove. Yes, you guys will get the recipes sent out tomorrow with the recording, and I have both recipes for both that we did today. Yes, you could, in the chat, someone mentioned that they could, you could put your fall, I keep call it spring, your fall vegetable pasta bake. You could put the liquids in the Vitamix or your blender and mix that up with miso and the seasoning. It's up to you. Depends if you want to get it dirty or not. I find that you can just like mix it in, and you're really wanting to coat your vegetables anyway, so it really takes like no longer, and then you don't have to rinse out your blender. I recommend, Ross is asking a really great question. I recommend some kind of whole wheat pasta is the way that I do it when I make this. If you're using gluten-free or if you're using a bean pasta, you just want to check. So for the cook time, like this takes around 9 to 10 minutes. So if yours is coming out like, yours only says 6 minutes, you probably don't have to bake it as long. And really when you go to stir it, like we're gonna pull it out in 10 minutes. When you go to stir it, you can kind of see that the pasta is not quite baked all the way through. And then there you just wanna not go far and just make sure you don't overcook it. That's my way to go. We are not gluten-free here. I love whole wheat pasta, so I usually grab this or a bean pasta, but most times when I make this recipe, it's always with whole wheat. And then you can get any types of shapes that you like. Lou asked if there's any tips and hints on how to handle veggie chopping efficiently. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I just like using a knife and kind of chopping it up real quick. The amounts for this is pretty small. They're all around a little under a cup per se, so it doesn't take very long. But you can buy, there's all sorts of gadgets that you can buy that you can, there's the one to dice onions, but you can use it for other things that you kind of like flap the lid and chop things. It's kind of personal preference. I find that I spend more time cleaning that than I do like cleaning a knife. All right, see you later, Linda. Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, it makes it beautiful. And then I always like to do a little bit of green on top. So you could put parsley, you could put, a little bit of even a sprig of kale on top. You could put some greens in this. It's kind of optional. You put cinnamon on top, but it does come out to be like a beautiful color. And it is a nice thick soup when you go to have it. Pumpkin seeds are really nice too. If you're looking for something with a little bit of crunch, you can put some pumpkin seeds on top, which is really awesome. For the casserole, I used a 9x13 pan. So something that's not super large. If you're going to use like a huge casserole dish, like I have big ones up top, you might want to double this recipe. And I've doubled it and it's worked out great. Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm gonna pull it out pretty soon. I might even pull it out a little bit early since I told you, it takes like no time at all. You know, fall vegetables. I also would recommend you try something you never have. So on those lists that you guys will get emailed, if there's a vegetable that you either aren't a fan of or you've never tried before, you know, I would highly recommend you try it. I know that my taste buds have changed so much, even from in my 20s to my 30s and trying different things. So it's been really fun to be adventurous and being plant-based. I've eaten way more plants than ever. Have I ever made stuffed cabbage, whole food plant-based? Stuffed cabbage is in our private membership coming out next month. So on October 5th, there will be a stuffed cabbage recipe from me over in the membership. So all of you guys that are members, you guys can get ready for that. Oh, I'm so happy you can make it. And Pittsburgh's happy that you could come. We're really looking forward to continuing even after we get back to being in person. I'm gonna drag my laptop around so that way we can film them virtually for you guys as well. So thanks so much for coming. It's been so fun doing the Zoom as well as being in person. Kumquat recipes. I'm sure if you Google, there's a bunch that you can find, you know, or you can eat them individually. That's kind of a personal preference. But yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch that you can find on there. Kumquats, I will have to look for in the grocery store. It's the one that I don't usually pick up. That should be my fruit to try for the fall. Thanks, guys. Shelly, are you still in Pittsburgh? I think you were here for the game. For the membership, right now I do 2 months at a time. So if you join today, and I always tell people joining at the end of the month is probably the best, because then you get that month, the month prior, and then on the 5th, you get a bunch of new ones. So I always leave 2 months up at a time. So if you join September, you get September and August. If you join in October, you get October and September, and it just kind of goes from there. Yeah, wherever, I feel like Pittsburgh's one of those places that no matter where you go, there's people that are either from there or know about there. When we went to Hilton Head in South Carolina, there was like a Pittsburgh restaurant or a Pittsburgh bar. When I traveled to Ireland, there was a Pittsburgh bar as well. So it's just like lots of Pittsburgh roots all around. All right, so I will take it out a little bit early just to show you guys. Let me grab a oven mitt. And if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them.
Brittany, somebody wants to know, do you do your private membership like you are doing your cooking class now?
Yeah, so
Very similar.
once a month we get together and do this exact same thing. We make recipes from that month of the membership. So this weekend on Saturday, I have a class where we're making mushroom stroganoff. We're also making pasta visual. So if you sign up now, you can come to that class this weekend on Saturday. And it's a lot of fun. It's the same exact kind of setup. And if you missed the class, there's a recording, but once a month I do a private cooking class for them. All right, so you just want to carefully kind of remove it. And then I pulled it a couple minutes early. So, you know, wait until it's the 20 minutes are up, but I just like to fold in. And again, you're just kind of mixing the things on the bottom on top quickly. And then it'll bake for 20 more minutes. And then at that time, you should see a lot of the liquid start to, but if any pasta is like still looking a little dry, this is the time to kind of mix it up. And it smells so good. I wish you guys could smell it. And it looks nice and green. You also could do pomegranates. I was just thinking about pomegranates on top. These pomegranates are a fall fruit. All right, I'm gonna stick this back in for I'm gonna stick it in for about 25 minutes because it, you know, I pulled it a little bit early. And this is a great idea too to think about, you know, you can even make this as a side dish for Thanksgiving or, you know, any family event coming up. That's kind of a nice one to have that you just can have kind of pre-made or even the pumpkin soup would be really good for your Thanksgiving, you know, fall appetizer. Okay, I'm just looking through the questions. You could use a glass casserole dish. I'm sure that would be fine. You know, just I would put it on the lowest rack of your oven. But yes, you definitely could use, if you have a lid that fits, you can use that. If not, you can do the tinfoil hack I showed you. Does anyone have a fall vegetable or fruit they've never tried before they're interesting in to try? Like, I was never a big fan of Brussels sprouts. I feel like no kid really is a big fan of Brussels sprouts, but I actually love Brussels sprouts now. Another recipe, I'll give you guys a real quick like walkthrough of it, but every year for Thanksgiving, I cut Brussels sprouts in half and I add them to a Ziploc bag. And then I make kind of like a marinade with a little bit of balsamic vinegar and Dijon mustard. Only 2 items. You can get all different kinds of balsamic vinegars. I have like a bunch sitting here, but cinnamon pear is really great. And there's so many different like vendors that sell balsamic vinegars. This is one from Murraysville, PA, where we live, called the Olive Merchant, but they have all different kinds of flavors. But I just put in, you know, drizzle some balsamic vinegar of your flavor you like with a little bit of Dijon mustard, and then you just massage it in and bake them, and they're fantastic. It's almost like, I don't even know how to describe it. So good, but it's literally always on our Thanksgiving table. See, spaghetti squash, yellow kiwis. Very cool. I've never tried guava either. I marinate them for not long, like 20 minutes maybe, usually while I'm doing something else. You probably could marinate them overnight. I'm sure that would even turn out better, but 20 minutes really works. Then I just put them on parchment paper and bake them. Yeah, I love spaghetti squash. It's really good. Rutabaga, I see. I'm just scrolling up in the chat. But yeah, Brussels sprouts are one of those foods I feel like I never enjoyed before. Now I can't get enough. And so I bake them, usually it's around 350 for around 25 to 30 minutes. And I usually will go in halfway and just kind of make sure nothing's like sticking and burning. So just give it a nice toss halfway through, maybe 15 minutes through. And you just bake them until they're cooked. I also really like doing salads with shredded Brussels sprouts. So you can just take like a food processor with the chopping lid and shove those in. That's such an easy way. And I just shred Brussels sprouts, and that's a great way of getting cruciferous vegetables into your salads and different things. So I really like to do kind of, I think I did this in a cooking class prior, but it was an autumn salad. So I'll chop up pears with the shaved Brussels sprouts. And then, you know, you can put in, I like to put some kale chopped up too. Another thing too about kale is if you're not a fan, I hear a lot from people that they don't really like kale. There are so many varieties of kale that you can try. So like, I'm not a huge fan of dino kale, but I really like curly kale and I really like baby kale. So that's usually what I go to. So if there's a variety too, you know, maybe give that a try. I just shred them in my food processor. So I have one of those, don't know where it's at now, but I have one of those lids that you put on top of your food processor and it just shapes them as you put them in. Do I put anything on your Brussels sprouts when you bake them? So I make a marinade of, let me put that back on. I make a marinade of balsamic vinegar and Dijon mustard, and I just kind of massage that into the Brussels sprouts. I love baby kale. Baby kale tastes like spinach. If you aren't a kale fan, try baby kale. Sometimes I massage it. A lot of the times I have, so every day I eat a big giant chopped salad. And so I have one of these Holland bowls, and I just kind of throw in everything into this. So if I have curly kale, baby kale, mixed, I buy like mixed spring mix, romaine, whatever I want. And then I just, I have no idea if I eat 1 to 2 pounds of vegetables. I don't measure. I mean, I eat a big salad every day, and I eat other vegetables like for dinner in different ways. So I'm probably getting that amount, but I don't have a scale out to measure it. But I do make, you can see it's so green. And then I just grab like a salad chopper. But that's been my favorite way one of my favorite ways of getting it in every day. I saw someone asked about salad dressings. The salad dressing I do every day is similar to the marinade that I do for the Brussels sprouts. So I take 1/4 cup of a hummus mixed with, like, in a little, maybe a little bit larger than this, but 1/4 cup of the hummus. I take a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar that's flavored. I change up, I just finished black fig, which was really good. And then I just take a little squirt of Dijon mustard and mix that up, and you can thin it out with however much balsamic vinegar you want to use, but that's literally what I eat on my salads every day. And I don't get tired of it because there's like tons of flavors. Like, this is all the balsamics I have currently. Have I tried eating raw vegan? I have not. Would I? Probably not, just because I like following kind of the science behind it, and cooked vegetables and everything is healthy for you too. So, and grains and all of that. So, also I live in a place that gets pretty cold. All of my Pittsburgh friends that are in here, you know, it's not an environment that's really conducive to, you know, eating cooked things is nice. 3 times that many vinegars. Yeah, this is all, I usually only let myself, when I go, I get like 5 to 6, and then I have to get through them before I can get more. Yeah, sweet potatoes are awesome. And all of the cooked things, I mean, I do a nice combination of raw and cooked, just not even on purpose. So I like doing that. And sweet potatoes are great coming up in the fall. So a lot of people ask me if they can find Japanese sweet potatoes, but those are out of season right now. So now, you know, you can't find them in your grocery store. That's why they're not in season in the fall. So we all have to wait until after that to get them. But I would have fun with it. You don't have to buy like vinegars from any fancy place online. Your town has a vinegar store. I think we have like 3 or 4 around Pittsburgh. And I try all different kinds. Like, this one's a pineapple one. Cinnamon pear is a favorite. I'm like almost out of it. Let's see, this is an apricot. So I kind of play around with it, and then that also changes the flavor of that salad dressing I make every day, which is kind of nice. Okay, yeah, you might just have a hard time finding the white ones, since they're probably more expensive right now. Favorite carbs to pair with the roasted fall veggies. I just change out my whole grains all the time. So last night we had farro. Tonight I made wheat berries. And so I'm lucky. I go to the bulk section of our co-op, and I just try all of them. So, you know, we'll have quinoa, I'll have wild rice. I moved to something else. Bulgur wheat has been really favorite, and that's really easy to make. Yeah, I tried black cherry. That's very good as well. I like California balsamics, but I don't like to pay for shipping. So I get them on a rare occasion. They're Italian. I like their Italian one. It's very good, but I do try to And sometimes it's nice too to support local, you know, so I do try to go to our local store. Yeah. Oh no. Shortage of Yukon Gold potatoes. Yeah, and then two is that my you know, the co-op here in Pittsburgh is so great because there's like so many varieties of sweet potatoes, from Hannah's to all of them really. And so it's really been a nice source of place to go and to really try stuff. I'm always looking for something new to try. The purple potatoes are really awesome if you guys haven't tried those. It's called the Pittsburgh Food Co-op. If anyone's in Pittsburgh and has not checked it out, there's a good chance you'll run into me there. I go very often. Yes, the salad dressing was 1/4 cup of hummus. I'll give you any hummus you like. 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar of your flavor choice, and then 1 teaspoon or 1 squeeze of Dijon mustard. Thanks, Ross, for coming. So generally what I do is when I cook a whole grain, I cook it plain, I don't season it, just because a lot of times I'll use it for leftovers for something else. And then usually I'm making a sauce or, you know, seasoning it after. So I'm kind of plain Jane when it comes to like making beans or making whole grains myself, because I like to use them for like so many different things. I would be very bummed if I made something one way and then couldn't use it for something else. Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, I'm it's like 12 minutes away from the pasta being done. So I don't know if you guys are gonna hang out here for that long, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. You guys will get all of the recipes tomorrow with the recording. I do eat oats. Yep, I eat them. I have an Instant Pot recipe for oats to cook them very quickly, relatively to how long it takes. But I do like oats a lot. They're a really great rice replacement if you're avoiding rice. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming. I have dried soybeans. I've never made them in the Instant Pot though. I do have them in my pantry. We do have a Costco, but they are, it's a little bit far from east of Pittsburgh where I live, so I'm not a member. Oh, that's nice. They have a sheet pan that fits into the Breville though. I get asked all the time. I actually use the big air frying basket just to bake because I like that it has sides, and I always get questions on it. I'm always like, it came with the Breville. I don't know. So I do eat rice on occasion. I do try to change it up. I haven't cut out rice 100% from my diet. I know that, you know, Gregor talked about the arsenic. I try to rinse it really well. I also try to source it from a place that has less arsenic. So I am mindful of that when I do it. I would think the rice and the miso is probably such a small amount that probably would be okay. And tempeh, you can, you know, I think that's kind of those are smaller amounts. So I think that would probably be okay. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you guys. If you have to leave, I can hang out here for a little bit longer, answer any questions. And if you guys haven't checked it, check out our website, check out our YouTube channel. There are so many recipes for you guys to try. And, you know, try the spring vegetable bake for a different variation on it, but it's very nice. And I just, again, will cut up a lemon, and I like to just squeeze a little bit of lemon on top. I did come out with, so Nancy, I came out with a weight loss kind of series for breakfast, lunch, and then I never completed it for dinner. But I do have an ebook that's supposed to come out in October, all on weight loss recipes. So if you're a follower of anything I do on social media, you'll see when it comes out.
Okay, thanks, Brittany.
Yeah.
I'm on the short side too, but not quite as short.
Yeah, it's hard being 4'11". There's no wiggle room. Yeah, and Susan, that's a great, that is the brand I usually try to get. And they have great varieties. We just had black rice or forbidden rice not too long ago from them. But there are so many, you know, that's another thing is that I always try to change up, not only eat seasonal, but I try to change up the grains. I try to change up the vegetables. Even if I like something, you know, I try to switch in like different cruciferous vegetables. And I think that variety is makes it interesting, but also lets you, you know, just like Dr. Will be about gut health, talking about like all the different varieties that you should be trying to get in every week. That kind of makes it a little bit easier. So sometimes instead of getting broccoli, I get bok choy. Sometimes I do Brussels sprouts. Sometimes I do cauliflower. You know, there's so many. That's the beautiful thing, I think, too, when you're whole food plant-based for a while. When you start, you feel like you're giving up so much. But then when you're doing it for a while, I mean, the variety really, there's so many things. There's so many things I haven't even tried yet after doing this for a while. I have about 8 minutes left on that bake. All right, well, if you guys have no other questions, you guys are free to go. I will hang out here until you guys do have any other questions. Happy to answer them.
Brittany, where did you ever get that cool rectangular trivet you have on your table there?
Which one? I'm trying to think.
The white one?
The white
To your
one.
left.
This one. This is the lid for the
Oh,
yeah, it's very summery, not really fall, but it has little strawberries. So it's really cute for summer, but
oh, how cute. Oh, how cute. I thought it was a special trivet or something.
yeah. Yeah, I have a bunch of different like misshapen ones around, but you know, next year when I start doing these and we move into our next house, the space will be much different.
I can't wait to see your new big fancy kitchen at your new house.
Thank you. It's gonna be much better well lit and should be really nice to film in.
How exciting. When is it supposed to be ready?
April.
Oh, that'll be here before you know it.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of blinking already, blinking before my eyes. Oh, thank you, Renee.
Did Mark agree to do the podcast?
Oh, I kind of still poking him about it. We'll see. I'm sure we'll do something at some point.
Good.
It's his birthday tomorrow, so I have to give him, you know, let him not bug him too much about it.
Wish him a very happy birthday.
I will. Thank you. I have a lot to make this weekend for it. The stroganoff, do you increase the time? So I would probably, I'm trying to think now, if I increase the time on the Instant Pot. You know what? I will make a double. How about this? I will make a double recipe in the cooking class on Saturday, and I will let you know because I've never doubled it in the Instant Pot. So on Saturday, if you come, we will try it together. So that way, if I mess it up, it'll be mine. So I'll let you know. Let you know on Saturday. Saturday, it's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if you join the membership, there's a link already up to join the class. Thank you. I will tell him. He is waiting to eat all this food when it comes out. Thank you so much, Kathy. So nice to hang out with you guys. All right, 5 minutes left. pasta bake before I knock everything over. Put these guys back. Thank you guys. Donna, he's turning 32 tomorrow. It's a year older than me. Well, so nice to hang out with all of you guys. Yeah, I will experiment that on class on, I'll buy double the ingredients so we can kind of find out. I do have one more camping trip planned the very last week of October. So we got one more in the books. Yeah, my husband eats enough for like a couple people, so doubling the recipe won't be a problem here. Oh, thank you so much. So Denise, I asked Dr. Greger about fortified or unfortified nutritional yeast, and he said it didn't matter. So I usually buy whatever's on sale. So I do have some non-fortified I'm looking at right now, but I've bought fortified before. So usually it's just whatever I could find. I like using hummus as the salad dressing because it's creamy. It kind of gives you, it's a thicker dressing. It kind of helps coat everything well. I mean, you do thin it out by adding that balsamic vinegar, but I find that it gives you a nice creamy salad dressing without a lot of fat. So I use our hummus recipe for that. And we love hummus. We could probably eat it. I do eat it every day. Thank you, Jody. I'm glad you enjoy the hamburger helper. That's a big one around here too. Thank you guys. Well, it has 2 more minutes, so let's see. Sun-dried tomatoes. We make if you haven't checked out the taco recipe, healthy tacos on our YouTube channel, we make a really awesome taco recipe with that. The ratio to hummus is 1/4 cup of hummus to a tablespoon of balsamic, and then I like a little bit of Dijon mustard. Yeah, so it just depends on the doctor that you follow. Greger said that you end up peeing out a lot of the extra stuff that you, so it ends up, could be more expensive, but that's kind of depends on, I've seen mixed reviews of both. So I sometimes get fortified, sometimes get non-fortified, and you know. We go through stages. Sometimes we use it a lot, sometimes I don't. Donna, are you eating the tacos? Those are really good. Need to make those again. And that would be a great fall recipe too, because it has a lot of, well, end of summer, has a lot of cauliflower in it. But we have a ton of pumpkin recipes, ton of pumpkin smoothies, pumpkin, trying to think about the pumpkin stuff, pumpkin bread, lots of stuff like that. 2 pounds of, that's great, 2 pounds of cut up cauliflower. Maybe I do need to join Costco. Let's read in the chat. right, let me see if this is ready to come out. Now you should check if your pasta is not cooked all the way. This is a good time to, you know, you can leave it in for a little bit longer depending on which one you used. Very hot, so be careful. So I will show you guys since we're still in here. So it does like, it's not like, you know, there's still a good amount of liquid, but it's more of the dressing now. It's cooked down quite a lot. You guys can see, it's a little bit hard for me to show you. Okay, and then again, how you know it's finished is if your pasta is finished, is really what you're looking for. The vegetables are already cooked through. But then what I like to do, show you guys. Yeah, it makes a creamy sauce for it. That sauce on top. And I like to add a little bit of lemon on top of that. And see, there is enough of a little bit of a dressing sauce that you can kind of fold in. Okay, and then you can play up with the vegetables, with the seasonings, with, you know, you can use, if you don't want to use the herbes de Provence, some people don't like that, some people do. You can kind of play around with what you like for Thanksgiving themed or fall themed, but those are some really nice recipes or seasonings to use. All right, well, if you guys have no other questions, I will let you guys go. Have I made general, let's see, I've not, I will have to try that. Thank you, Barb. Thank you guys, I will see you guys Saturday if you come to the cooking class. All right.